The top stories tonight in Y News. Severe tropical storm JOLINA left 3 people dead and 31 missing.
Ombudsman Samuel Martirez says fighting corruption in the country will take a lifetime.
Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio's Hugpong Ng Pagbabago party will not help PDP-Laban for the 2022 national election. The Metro Manila Council urges the Interagency Task Force against COVID-19 to ease the restrictions for fully vaccinated citizens.
The Food and Drug Administration supports some local governments' move to start the registration for minors for COVID-19 vaccination.
Many parts of Acapulco, Mexico are now back to usual operations after the 7.1 earthquake. Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Quezon City. Today is Thursday, September 9, 2021. I'm Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. Presidential daughter Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio says her party Hugpong Ng Pagbabago or HNP will not help his father's party PDP-Laban anymore in the 2022 elections. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Presidential daughter and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio refuses to comment on the Senate slate of Partido Demokratiko Pilipino, Lakas ng Bayan Kusi faction. However, when asked if her party Hugpong ng Pagbabago will help PDP-Laban in the 2022 elections, she answered negatively. She also disclosed that she will not be running anymore for a national position in 2022 since her father, President Rodrigo Duterte, formally accepted the nomination of his party to be their vice presidential candidate in the coming election. In response to Go's positioning on his nomination as standard-bearer of the PDP-Laban, the local chief executive admitted that there is a plan B. Despite this issue, Mayor Sara assured the public that politics does not affect her relationship with her father. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Ombudsman Samuel Martirez expressed his hopelessness in the country's fight against corruption. According to him, it might be impossible to get rid of the corruption despite government's efforts. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
During the budget deliberation early this afternoon, Ombudsman Samuel Martirez said that solely relying on the prosecution of possible graft suspects would probably be not enough to stop the corruption in the country. According to Martirez, changing the values of our countrymen is the possible key to free the country from dishonest officials.
On the aspect of combating corruption in our country, I think it will take us a lifetime to fight corruption unless and until we change our values, unless and until we disregard the sources of corruption, which is greed, envy, lust, avarice. These are all the seven cardinal sins.
Martirez meanwhile challenged those who claim corruption in some government agencies to check whether they can remain clean if they join that particular office.
I challenge everyone who says that this particular agency is corrupt. Let him join that agency and let me see if later on he too will not be corrupted. Corruption is just not in the government. Corruption is also prevailing in the private sector. So no person has the authority or the moral authority to accuse any government official of being corrupt unless he is in that position.
The Ombudsman also divulged during the budget briefing that they have already started the motu proprio investigation on the procurement of COVID-19 medical supplies of the Department of Health and the procurement service of the Department of Budget and Management. He said they will include the private supplier in their probe.
Wala tayong palalampasin na tao dyan. Lahat po ng involved, alam nyo naman po yan na pag tulad ng sinight yung batas sa 3E, if you are a private individual, you will be charged in conspiracy with the government official. So if we charge the government official, the supplier will be found to be in conspiracy with the government official, will likewise be included as one of the accused.
According to Martires, they already have initial findings and they are waiting for the release of the next audit report of the Commission on Audit to check the compliance of the agencies involved in the issue. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
In other news, the Department of Education is all set for the opening of school year 2021 to 2022 on Monday. Meanwhile, DepEd has yet to decide whether to extend the enrollment period. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
4 days before the start of classes on September 13, the Department of Education expressed readiness for the school opening next week. According to USEC Nepomuceno Madaluan, they are continuously communicating with all regional schools division to ensure the safety and effective opening using the different modalities.
We are ready for September 13 opening. We have an opening day program. Ang ating tagubilin sa lahat ay maisaayos at maisiguro yung readiness ng mga learning resources ng mga bata. All of our regions are very busy, our field units for this readiness for the school opening. But I've not seen, unlike nung dati na unlike nung last school year na in fact na defer pa yung school opening, this year we are ready for the opening on Monday.
DepEd has also put up a public assistance center at the Central, Regional, and Schools Division offices to immediately assist guardians, parents, and students and address the problems.
Nakaset up itong ating public assistance center na ito dito sa Oplan Balik Eskwela the whole week this week and also up to next week para itong mga gantong mga issue lalo na halimbawa yung mga transfer ang usually hindi natin alam kung ano ang situation lalo ngayon na limited ang physical mobility ay yung mga pagpapadala ng credentials and so on ay ibig sabihin baka mas mahirapan. So those are the things that we anticipate.
Meanwhile, DepEd is still contemplating whether to extend the enrollment period or stick to its September 13 deadline. As of September 9, 2021, over 21 million students have so far enrolled. This is equivalent to over 80% of the total enrollees in the last school year. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections will hold a simultaneous nationwide mall voters sign-up next week. Meanwhile, the Quezon City Commission on Elections local office guaranteed a swift processing of voters' registration. Marvin Cadas reports live. Marvin, go ahead.
Yes, Diego, the Commission on Elections have partnered with the private sector and other government agencies to facilitate a nationwide mall voter sign-up on Saturday, September 11. COMELEC aims to meet the public's convenience and address the possible transmission of the Delta COVID-19 variant as voter registrants are expected to flock COMELEC offices for registration. The schedule of mall voter sign-up could be accessed on the official website and social media accounts of COMELEC. The event will be held in participating malls such as the SM Supermalls and Robinsons Malls, among others. Meanwhile, the Commission on Elections local office in Quezon City implemented a color-coded number system based on a residence corresponding district. A local office assured a swift processing of voters' registration to avoid crowding and long hours of waiting among registrants.
Baka sa tingin nyo lang mahaba, pero dahil 6 na distrito yan eh. So, pag kinukuha kasi namin doon, may personnel kaming taga-kuha doon, taga-dala rito. So basically, systematic naman. Actually, as of now, parang halos wala na nga kaming pila eh. Kahit MECQ tayo ngayon, naggawa ng resolution ng COMELEC to allow ang registration despite the MECQ and danger of the pandemic. Nandito kami para mag-register sa kanila.
Registrants per district are limited to 300 individuals per day. Senior citizens, persons with disability, and those having secured an appointment online may directly proceed to the registration area. QC COMELEC also reminded residents to secure the needed requirements to avoid inconveniences.
Ang importante kasi, ang nangyayari, yung iba kasi naka-print na yung kanilang forms, naka-fill up na. So, mas mabilis on our part dahil chine-check na lang namin eh. Then after 1 minute, pwede na sila magpa-biometrics capturing. Mas mabilis. Basta mayroon ng forms, may ID, may Xerox copy na ng ID, valid yung ID nila.
That's the latest live. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you for that live report, Marvin Cata.
Several industries in the country were forced to shut as the COVID-19 pandemic and community quarantine measures taken to fight it dragged on. However, the demand in private household jobs are now high in the labor market. Ray Pelayo explains why.
The employment of private household workers in the Philippines doubled to 3.67 million in July from 1.77 million in June this year. According to the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE, the demand for private household workers increased as COVID-19 cases surged in the country. Several COVID-19 patients prefer to recuperate at their homes as hospitals are now fully occupied by patients.
It could be because marami po yung naghahanap ng carers po ngayon for the patients ng mga COVID-19 and even the elderly po. So doon pumapasok po siguro yung category ng private household.
Meanwhile, data from the Philippine Statistics Authority showed that the number of underemployed increased to 20.9% in July from 17.2% in April. The Labor Department noted that several Filipinos are still cautious in going out amid the threat of the Delta variant. Assistant Secretary Nikki Tutay added that several employers are now more open to flexible working arrangements with their workers when the pandemic started.
Marami pa rin po kasi ang naka-flexible work arrangement ngayon. And when we speak of flexible work arrangements, the workers are either working less number of hours or less number of days in a week. Also, they are put on job rotation just to preserve employment.
DOLE is seeking additional 8 billion peso more funds for the cash aid for migrant workers and formal workers amid the pandemic. The proposed budget of the department next year is 44.3 billion pesos. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Metro Manila Council seeks to ease restrictions for fully vaccinated citizens. The MMC consequently issues its resolution to formally urge the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
The Metro Manila Council finds the right balance between safeguarding the public's health and reviving economy. This as the MMC pushes to ease the COVID-19 guidelines for citizens in the metropolis that have already received full vaccination against COVID-19. The local chief executives in the National Capital Region unanimously agree to urge the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases to consider the recommendation. Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chairman Benhar Abalos Jr. said in a statement that easing of restrictions for fully vaccinated individuals would help the government's campaign to vaccinate the rest of the population. He further stated that the move would gradually boost the economy, particularly industries and services greatly hit by the pandemic. Based on the MMC records, over 5 million individuals or 56% of the eligible population in the NCR are already fully vaccinated, while more than 8 million or about 84% received their first dose. The MMC is confident that the metropolis will be able to fully vaccinate over 77% of its total eligible population by October, as those receiving second jab will be administered within the coming weeks. With this, the MMC issues a resolution to formally ask the IATF to conduct an interagency and interdisciplinary study to determine the appropriate policy in considering their recommendation. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Food and Drug Administration sees nothing wrong with the initiative of some local government units to start the registration for the COVID-19 vaccination of Filipino minors. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
The local government of Pateros has started the registration of children aged 12 to 17 years old for COVID-19 vaccination. The Philippine Food and Drug Administration said it is a good start while waiting for its rollout.
It's a great initiative on the part of the LGU na ngayon pala mag-upisa na silang mag-register ng mga adolescents kasi darating din naman talaga tayo doon. Darating din naman yung panahon na magbabakuna tayo ng mga bata. So it would be good, I think, for LGUs to prepare para pag sinabi ng DOH na okay, we have enough supplies, pwede na tayong mag-vaccinate ng adolescents, pwede na agad silang makapag-roll out.
But the government has not yet given a go signal to start inoculating Filipino adolescents. Currently, those who are from the A1 to A5 priority sector are eligible for COVID-19 vaccination in the Philippines.
Low risk pa rin ang mga bata, bagamat nagkakaroon ng maraming cases across all age groups. Kaya pati sa bata, medyo dumadami, sila pa rin talaga yung at lowest risk of getting COVID and at lowest risk of getting severe COVID.
The decision of the DOH and all experts groups will still depend on the available COVID-19 vaccine supply in the country before rolling out the inoculation of minors against COVID-19. As of now, Pfizer and Moderna are the only vaccine manufacturers with emergency use authorization for vaccinating 12 to 17-year-olds approved by the Philippine Food and Drug Administration. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The World Health Organization is calling for a moratorium on the widespread distribution of COVID-19 booster shots through the end of this year. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus argued that wealthy countries are not doing enough to vaccinate at-risk people around the world who are yet to receive their first dose. The World Health Organization previously urged world leaders to hold off on booster doses until the end of September.
There has been little change in the global situation since then. So today, I'm calling for an extension of the moratorium until at least the end of the year to enable every country to vaccinate at least 40% of its population. Third doses may be necessary for the most at-risk populations, where there is evidence of waning immunity against severe disease and death, such as the very small group of immunocompromised people who did not respond sufficiently to their initial dose or are no longer producing antibodies. For now, we do not want to see widespread use of boosters for healthy people who are fully vaccinated.
The Department of Health today corrected the figures it reported the previous day, adding 5,132 COVID-19 cases. In a statement, the DOH said the daily tally for September 8 was at 17,883 from 12,751 reported on Wednesday. The updated tally pushed the Philippines' total caseload to 2,139,137. The agency also added 41 new recoveries recoveries to the figures, bringing the new recoveries to 20,192 and the total recoveries to 1,948,239. Deaths related to COVID-19 remains at 34,672. The DOH said it encountered technical issues with the COVID Kaya system. In its report on Wednesday, the agency also said it has experienced system issues in the extraction of updated data that led to the reporting of relatively low numbers. Meanwhile, the overall global COVID-19 caseload has reached to 222,637,937, while the deaths have surged to 4,597,751, according to the Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. is the worst hit country, with the world's highest number of cases and deaths at 40,458,930 and 652,699 respectively, according to the CSSA, followed by India and Brazil.
Some senators want the proposed 2022 budget to be amended as they lament the absence of health workers' benefits and the unprogrammed funds for the vaccine booster shots. Hardin Delgado will tell us why.
Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon questioned the priorities of the Executive Department in the proposed 2022 national budget. The veteran lawmaker pointed out that while the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC has been appropriated with 28 billion pesos, the 45 billion pesos which has been allocated for the COVID-19 vaccine booster shots are under the unprogrammed funds. This means it can be funded only when the government exceeds revenue collection or through loans or grants.
Are we saying that insurgency has become a bigger, more dangerous threat than COVID-19 and its fast mutating variants? Marami pong pagkukunan ng budget itong kampanya laban sa insurgency. Hindi po kailangan maghiwalay pa tayo ng 28 billion in the face of all these difficulties that we are facing and in the face of the fact that our health personnel are not being given this special risk allowance.
In response, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez says the anti-insurgency funds are relatively small in relation to the total COVID-19 response funds. He adds the vaccine booster shots were not appropriated with regular funds, as the vaccine expert panel noted that it is not yet proven necessary.
I had a big argument with them, okay? And the result is that it is actually in the budget. Had we not argued with that, it would not even be in the budget, because they said it is not yet proven, it's not yet approved formally, etc. I said, I don't care. I just want to make sure that we have an item in the budget that we can activate if and when the health authorities decide that it is required.
For its part, the Department of Budget and Management says the Health Department wanted to put the special risk allowances in the proposed Bayanihan 3 law. The agency also defends the allocation for the anti-insurgency fund.
It will actually provide development funds for barangays which have been recently freed from the insurgency or leftist elements. If we don't do that, if government will not intervene, then who will? And that's the reason why we also assert that the NTF-LCAC is important. However, we defer to the wisdom of the Senate and Congress if they find that these reasons are not sufficient.
For Senator Risa Hontiveros, the proposed 2022 national budget should be reverted to Malacanang to make the necessary amendments and include the health workers' benefits. Senator Joel Villanueva also believes Malacanang should send a budget errata to the both chambers of Congress and identify the needed funds for the country's medical frontliners. The palace has yet to comment on the matter. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Malacanang has confirmed that President Rodrigo Duterte has designated Antonio Parlade Jr. as the Deputy Director General of the National Security Council. In July, Parlade, a retired Army, resigned as spokesperson of the National Task Force and Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC. According to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, due to the length of military service of Parlade, the Duterte administration is confident that he would greatly contribute in the crafting of plans and policies affecting national security.
The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council urges the residents of areas to be hit by Typhoon Kiko to start preparing. Meanwhile, the onslaught of Typhoon JOLINA left 3 people dead and 31 missing, while millions in agriculture and infrastructure damage. JP Nunez will tell us why live. Yes, JP.
Yes, Harleen, despite the storm warning signal due to severe tropical storm JOLINA, a fisherman from Marinduque insisted to sail and go fishing, resulting to his death. The other 2 fishermen from Masbate were also reported dead, but the Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council still verifying this information, while 31 others are still missing.
Pag yung area ay sakop ng under signal, storm signal, expected na masungit ang dagat. Kaya po pag ganito, paalala po natin sa mga mangingisda natin ay huwag po muna, or mga nagbabiyahe for that matter, huwag po muna nilang ipilit na pumalaot. Naintindihan po natin yung need talaga na kailangan mangisda pa rin. Kaya po ang local governments natin, nagbibigay kaagad ng family food packs.
Harleen, according to Department of Agriculture, the estimated value of damage to crops left by JOLINA as of 10 a.m. today reaches 299 million pesos, while 24 million among infrastructures, majority of which are rice crops and corn. 62,052 farmers from Samar, Leyte, and Laguna lost their source of income. Meanwhile, the NDRRMC says they are already preparing for Typhoon Kiko. The agency reminds the public to evacuate as early as possible if heavy rainfall occurs in danger zones and flood-prone areas.
Pag sinabi ng barangay natin o munisipyo na dapat mag-evacuate na tayo dahil nasa danger zone tayo or flooding or landslide, dapat po sumunod tayo, huwag tayo mag-atubili. At habang ginagawa po natin yung pagsunod na yan, kasi nag-evacuate na po tayo, huwag po natin kalimutan na dapat protektado pa rin tayo sa COVID-19. Dapat nakamask pa rin po tayo, naghuhugas ng kamay, disinfect, at nag-obserba ng physical distancing hanggang sa evacuation center.
Harleen, Pag-asa, the State Bureau urges Northern Luzon to prepare for Typhoon Kiko as it may land early Friday morning in Batanes, Cagayan, Apayao, and Isabela. That is our latest live. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, JP Nunez, reporting live.
Meanwhile, the Manila Electric Company restores power supply to several areas affected by Typhoon JOLINA. Meralco reports about 300,000 consumers who experienced power outage due to the severe tropical storm. The affected areas are Batangas, Cavite, and Laguna. Meralco assures that continuous restoration activities are being conducted in the concerned areas. As of 5 a.m. today, the power distributor already restored the service to almost all areas. Only about 16,000 customers still experience power outage. Most are from Cavite and Laguna. Meralco advises their customers to inform them of any power outage and restoration update concerns through their contact numbers 0920-971-6211 for smart subscribers and 0917-551-6211 for Globe subscribers and 0925-711-6211 for Sun Cellular subscribers. And the Department of Health recorded today the highest ever daily tally of new confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Philippines at 22,820. The Health Department issued the case bulletin at 8:30 p.m. after resolving technical issues encountered with COVID Kaya. There are 12,337 new recoveries, while 61 more COVID-19 patients have died.
Kiwi parents are now concerned about the safety of their children returning to school. This comes after New Zealand shifted to Delta Alert Level 2 restrictions, excluding Auckland. Under Alert Level 2, there are no restrictions on who can be included in your household bubble. Businesses can open and you can go to work while kids can go off to school. But in an interview, Dr. Jean Russell, a developmental pediatrician, reassures all parents and students that school is absolutely the safest place to be in. She said the chances of children to catch COVID-19 in school is very low. Russell said her confidence stemmed from a combination of social distancing practices, vaccinations, and other protocols that schools are implementing to keep students safe. New Zealand went into nationwide lockdown because of one Delta variant community case. An extremely rare nerve-damaging disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome could be a possible effect of the COVID-19 vaccine AstraZeneca, according to the European Medicines Agency. Joselito Liquido tells the details live. Joselito?
Good evening, Elsie. The European Medicine Agency said a causal relationship between the Guillain-Barré syndrome and the AstraZeneca shot known as Vaxzevria was at least a reasonable possibility. GBS is a rare autoimmune disorder in which the body attacks itself and damages the nerves. Earlier signs includes numbness, weakness in muscles, and tingling of sensations of hands or feet. This was after 833 cases of GBS were reported out of the 592 million doses of the vaccine given worldwide by July 31. However, the side effect was categorized as very rare. Meanwhile, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has added a warning over the GBS as a possible side effect of Janssen. Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca both use viral vector technology have also been associated with rare blood clots. Several European countries have put a stop to administering AstraZeneca vaccine in March, but resumed vaccination in the same month. Aside from AstraZeneca's possible side effects, the medicine regulation in EU also tagged some other less severe effects from Johnson & Johnson vaccines and Moderna shots. Elsie?
Joselito, what should people do if they experience those symptoms after getting the AstraZeneca shot?
LCEMA has recommended that the warning be added to the information on vaccine that advises people to seek medical attention if they develop weaknesses and paralysis in the extremities. The good news is that most of the cases of the Guillain-Barré syndrome in the United States go on to recover. Back to you, Elsie.
Thank you, Joselito Liquido. Northeast of Acapulco, Mexico trembled under a 7.1 magnitude on Wednesday, resulting to one loss of life. RK Liorca details why live. Yes, RK?
LC, according to Guerrero State Governor Hector Astudillo, the death was caused by a falling post in the town of Cayuca de Benitez, west of Acapulco, as a result of the earthquake. The tremor prompted residents to rush outside for safer ground as the building swayed for several seconds and many vehicles were left damaged. The governor added that there had been reports of falling rocks, landslides, and collapsing walls. Many parts of Acapulco were without power late Tuesday evening. Guerrero's Civil Protection Agency reported that the quake has led to power outages and caused phone lines to be disrupted. Aftershocks were felt at 5.2 magnitude and no major destructions reported, authorities said. With continuous natural disasters, Mexican authorities improved significantly the capital's earthquake warning systems. This includes construction codes which function effectively in this instance that issued loud sirens and speakers prompting residents to rush to safety grounds. Elsie?
RK, has there been any recent recovery?
Well, Elsie, since there were no reported major damages, many parts of the city are now back on its natural operations. Neighborhoods and streets that had gone dark are now working to restore power. And Elsie, even though many vehicles were damaged, the capital's subway system is now back on track and now running services in the affected areas. Back to you, Elsie.
Thank you, RK Liorca. A recent study has found that 53% of office-based employees in Australia suffer burnouts, topping the list amongst 24 other countries. Paul Gatchalian will tell us why live. Paul?
Also, according to research initiated by the Adecco Group, a human resource company showed that it's because Australians feel more comfortable acknowledging and reporting burnouts. This comes along with their ability to communicate work-related concerns with their employers. Adecco CEO Priti Bajaj also stated that most people feel safe to voice out their employment concerns and openly discuss issues on mental health. Aside from Australia, other countries with high percentage of office workers that have at least suffered burnout in the last 12 months are Italy, China, United States of America, United Kingdom, Switzerland, and Japan. On the other hand, a recent study by insurance company Allianz reported that 69% of Australian employees have not spoken to their employers about their mental well-being since the start of the pandemic. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison continues to encourage Australians to start the conversation and share their thoughts if they are suffering.
Are you okay? It's an important question. And Are You OK Day reminds us of the importance of asking that very question, checking in with each other, with our mates, with our family, our work colleagues, our neighbours, and to talk honestly, but to listen carefully without judgment. And now more than ever, we need to do that.
Elsie?
Paul, what do experts say as to how we can better ask, "Are you okay?" to others?
Well, Elsie, a psychiatrist, Dr. Frank Chow, advises that a simple hello or how are you doing will be a good start either through a phone call or a message. It is important to prepare yourself first before asking, "Are you okay?" Ensure that you are in your proper headspace, you are have time to genuinely listen, and pick the best time to call that someone to ensure they feel safe and comfortable to speak. Back to you, Elsie.
Thank you, Paul Gatchalian. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Elsie Marcos, live from Auckland, New Zealand. Good evening.
And before we close, we will leave you with the final word, giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verses 8 to 9. It says, "All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge." And those are the reasons behind the news, September 9, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
We are ready for September 13 opening. We have an opening day program. Ang ating tagubilin sa lahat ay maisayos at maisiguro yung readiness ng mga learning resources ng mga bata.
Third doses may be necessary for the most at-risk populations, where there is evidence of waning immunity against severe disease and death. For now, we do not want to see widespread use of boosters for healthy people who are fully vaccinated.
So it would be good, I think, for LGUs to prepare para pag sinabi ng DOH na, okay, we have enough supplies, pwede na tayong mag-vaccinate ng adolescents, pwede na agad silang makapag-roll out.
On the aspect of combating corruption in our country, I think it will take us a lifetime to fight corruption unless and until we change our values, unless and until we disregard the sources of corruption, which is greed, envy, lust, avarice. These are all the seven cardinal sins.